Well, welcome everyone. This is another episode of the Senate Roundtable. It's going to be a little different tonight. Ram, am going to be your host. Unfortunately, Mangry is not able to do his traditional duties. I think we all can understand and accept why, but we're going to miss him greatly. The person who's probably going to miss him the most is one of our regulars here, Lab Monkey. Your partner in crime is not here tonight. How are you feeling about that?
I miss him so much, but I'm fine otherwise.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I completely understand. It's the same thing if I was missing my partner in crime, Brax Nightfinder. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then we have two guests joining us tonight, and we really appreciate you doing it. You kind of agreed at the last minute. Let's start with our guest, who is one of our Senate admins, has been a very crucial member of the Alliance since it's for quite a while now, and actually make sure that our very complicated Discord channel functions in some sort of efficient way and teaches us all how to not break bots. RickAstley, thank you for joining us, or as everyone knows him, Dude Rick.
Hey, I appreciate you having me. It's going to be fun.
And then yeah, exactly. And then we have a second guest tonight. This is a member that's been around for quite a while. He was almost a first day starter within the game. He took a break, came back, has been back in Ryloth for about 2 years now, and has been an officer about 5 months. Is already showing an impact in the Alliance. So let's all thank Kuzi for joining us tonight and being willing to be part of this conversation.
Hey, thanks guys for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Well, these are always fun for us because, oftentimes it's only just 2 or 3 of us that are talking, but this is an opportunity for us to really talk about the new changes that have occurred within the game. We're going to stay pretty focused tonight on some of the bigger changes, the ones that are kind of time sensitive, and then we'll break into some Q&A later on within the episode. But let's first start off with, of course, the GL that was introduced recently, and that was Lord Vader. And I think Lab Monkey is going to get us started off in this conversation.
Oh boy. GL number 6 has been in the game for a couple of weeks now. And it's Crispy Anakin himself. And he is he's very expensive, both in in-game currency and also in real dollars. If for most of the people who had him quickly, he requires an absurd amount of relic material for his prerequisites, and most of the people who have him are not using him right now in Arena. Obviously, they'll be using him in GAC because you'd be crazy to not use a Galactic Legend in GAC if you had them. But for most of the competitive players, he's been relegated to defensive duties for the moment, and that's because he is a lot like Jedi Master Kenobi in that he was designed to have a partner in crime to really ramp up his power level. And that partner of crime is, of course, the new Maul that is being released through Conquest. And unfortunately for Lord Vader owners right now, he's not available to be unlocked quite yet because we have to go through one more round of Conquest to finish up his shards. So nobody really has Lord Vader at his true potential right now. And which means that Jedi Master Kenobi still rules the top of Squad Arena shards as a result because he's got Cat. So Lord Vader, I'm not going to go through the novel that is his kit, but his kit is quite interesting in several ways. The first way being that I see a lot of parallels actually to Jedi Master Kenobi in his kit. So, for instance, his first special, Dark Harbinger, it applies healing immunity, and it also has a ramping damage effect the more that you do it, which is exactly the same as Jedi Master Kenobi's first special. His I will do what I must, which is a healing immunity and a ramping damage on that special. So I think they did that on purpose. I mean, I know they did that on purpose, and it's pretty cool. I mean, those two characters are completely intertwined in lore, and obviously, since they are opposite GLs in game now, so it's pretty cool that they put that in there. He also is immune to turn meter manipulation, and when he has his dots on you, which is pretty much all the time, you can't manipulate your turn meter at all. So he is going to be very punishing in that respect to a lot of potential off-meta counters. And of course, Jedi Master Kenobi doesn't care about that, so the devs added some stuff into Lord Vader's kit to help give him a boost against Jedi Master Kenobi, namely that he and his team do like 35% extra crit damage randomly to any Galactic Republic enemy. So that's kind of how they balanced his kit to bring him up in line with Jedi Master Kenobi. As far as power level goes, I mentioned that right now nobody's using him because he doesn't have Maul. Once he gets Maul, though, you're going to see a lot of Lord Vaders in Squad Arena. I'm telling you. He is going to be very good. Exactly how good, I don't know. And the devs have said that they're trying to balance him so that both he and Jedi Master Kenobi are in more or less equal footing. But I can tell you that Lord Vader will get to his ultimate exceedingly quickly when he has Maul, because of the way that he gets ultimate charge. It's whenever any of his allies are damaged. And Maul has that Anguish unique where he takes damage every time. And he's going to be doing... he's going to be going second in pretty much every match. Lord Vader will go first, and then Maul will go second because of the speed up. Unless he's going against Jedi Master Kenobi, then he'll go third. But he will beat pretty much any cat off the line because of the speed up buff that he gets at the beginning. So, and against any other teams besides Jedi Master Kenobi, he gets Frenzy. Well, he gets Frenzy every time, but Frenzy doesn't really do anything against Jedi Master Kenobi because of the turn meter clause. But he will actually he will go second in almost every other match that's not against a Kenobi because Maul gets Frenzy at the beginning. So for those of you that don't know, Frenzy is a buff that a couple characters in the game now get. Bosk is probably the main one, but when you get Frenzy, as soon as another character uses a special, you immediately gain 100% turn meter. So basically you get an extra move. So Maul will get to go right after Lord Vader in all non-JMK matches, and you will obliterate things. And the other thing about Crispy Anakin is that he is basically unkillable if he stacks enough mastery. Admiral Piet seems to be the best character to be on his team to do this. Hopefully we can find some other suitable alternatives because taking Piet off troopers really hamstrings that team. But that will be certainly an interesting mode of exploration that we'll have to do once Maul comes out to see exactly what we can get away with in that team. And the other thing is, so right now Darth Vader is going on the team. Darth Vader fits in really well because he takes a bunch of turns and he adds damage over time buffs, which help soup up Lord Vader's kit. And he's a really nice added source of damage on that team. We might not need him on the team when Maul gets released. Again, I don't know what the optimal team is going to be yet. He may or may not be on there. But I do know that the changes to Darth Vader that CG made a few weeks ago, months ago, I can't even keep track how long it's been. But they were almost certainly because Darth Vader would be too game-breakingly overpowered in this team if he still had his original culling blade. and so they had to scale that back. There's no way, because otherwise he'd be critic for over 1 million on like his second turn in that team, which is just ridiculous. So,
So
yeah, it'll be
basically,
interesting.
it basically made sense now in retrospect why they did the Vader changes, but
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily make us all happy that we had our Vader nerfed,
for sure.
especially free to play players. But
Yeah,
it makes sense. I think it's one of those things. In retrospect, you're frustrated, but you understand. It's still a tough pill to swallow to lose our Vader counters as we did, but I mean, hopefully they'll figure out a way of ramping Vader back up on other teams in the future. So there was a question regarding this, and Lab, I believe you're probably one of the few. I mean, I've experienced Lord Vader once or twice in my arena. You're maybe some others on this chat have had some experience, but you probably have the most. As of now, what do you think the overall consensus on Lord Vader is? And this question comes from Monkey is Best. What do you think the overall consensus on Lord Vader is, as opposed to Kenobi? Are they both on an equal footing, or do you think one kit is going to lack the highest level against the other?
yeah, it's an interesting question because obviously we don't have Maul out, and so it's not really fair to judge Lord Vader on his performance right now, because if you just think back a couple months ago when we first had Jedi Master Kenobi, but we didn't have Cat, especially the people who weren't in guilds who had unlocked Cam, or not unlocked, excuse me, relicked Cam. Jedi Master Kenobi was pretty underwhelming. I mean, he could still do stuff, but definitely not the OP character that he is with the addition of Cat in the team. And so I think it remains to be seen exactly how good Lord Vader is going to be. If I had to bet money on it, or reputation, or anything along those lines, anything that I felt was valuable to me, I would bet that Lord Vader will be at least as powerful, if not more powerful, than Jedi Master Kenobi when all is said and done. Just looking at his kit, and knowing what Maul is going to add. I don't know everything that Maul is going to add, but Maul will add enough that he will get to his ult fast enough, and Lord Vader becomes an unkillable machine of death if you don't control him and his allies quickly enough. So I feel very confident that Lord Vader will be a very strong character. Exactly where he falls in the meta, whether he'll be the best team, whether he'll be on equal footing, whether he'll be a little bit less than JMK, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say for the very, very top percentage of players, especially the people who are investing like R9 onto their characters, Lord Vader is probably going to outperform JMK in that respect. That's just a guess, though.
That's fair. Kuzi, Rick, Brax, any opinions?
I agree with Lab on the Relic 9 for Lord Vader. I think he's definitely probably going to do better for than JMK. It will definitely be interesting to see how Maul does with it. And our guild, we have, I think, 2 Lord Vaders. One, he will get Maul. The other one, he doesn't have enough basically galactic points to be in that hard conquest. So he's in the normal conquest. So he's months away from getting Maul. And
Oof.
so it'll be interesting to see how those two in our guild develop, and so that we can kind of see in territory wars how those two accounts will be working for us.
Yeah, I think the thing right now is that kind of what Lab said there is that nobody really knows for sure. And so most of the information that the general public has is just everything they're getting from watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. And the general consensus amongst those people are typically is that he's kind of an underwhelming character right now, but obviously we don't have all the pieces to really make that like an actual like judgment of him. So I mean, it's kind of I'm saying this never having to have to face one yet, but um, yeah, I think there's a lot to be seen. Like once Maul actually gets out there and people start to kind of theory craft and put together teams that make a little more sense than what's being used right now.
I think JMK is still going to stand a chance. I think he'll probably be the most predominant counter to Lord Vader, as it usually goes. I think what Maul will do is make the JML counter either impossible or a lot more harder to reproduce consistently. JML right now is probably the best GL in PvP besides JMK. And he's great for PvE and light side territory battles. And he consistently beats every other GL, even C, which is his counterpart. You can run the right squad and do that JML Jericho and win. So I think that's what Maul will give to C, but it really remains to be seen.
Well, and a lot of that's going to come down to, I mean, Relic 9, which we're going to get into here in a minute with Brax talking about TW. JML is going to benefit likely more from Relic 9 than many other, because it seems like that relic is really targeted toward tanks. And again, we'll talk about that more here in a bit. But JML will probably still be a soft counter, but I do kind of agree with you that we're looking at sort of a new double meta at the top between Kenobi and Lord Vader.
I'm going to make a not that bold prediction. So we just finished up Second Conquest like yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming that the next Conquest will start early next week. So about 3 weeks from today, I fully expect there to be an outcry on Reddit that Lord Vader is the most OP character ever released, and I can't beat him, and the rock paper scissors meta is gone, and blah 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 blah, because people are going to put Maul on the team, and some people are going to R9 their Lord Vaders, and he's going to be a bear to take out.
Well, and unfortunately, I would kind of argue, if you're willing to put that sort of investment into a player, you deserve to have a certain amount of advantage. I mean, hopefully it's not unbeatable. Like right now, Kenobi drives me crazy. He's a really hard player for me to beat, and I have 3 GLs, but I'm okay with it because I understand the investment that people have put into it. And I can beat it. I just have to mod my team right and go through a lot of, hurdles, but I can get through it. So and I get it as you're coming up, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more as we go through the episode. Um, there's going to be a lot of difficulty in terms of changing our perspective on these sort of things that are moving forward. Now, one thing I did want to talk about is within a developer discussion, they said that this partnership between GAC and GLs is not something that CG wants to continue moving forward, or they don't plan on making this a thing where you unlock a GL and then all of a sudden, the one that makes them work, you're going to have to wait 2 months for because you have to unlock it elsewhere. What did you think about those comments?
It makes sense to me. The reason it makes sense is because I'm pretty sure the reason they did that, well, they have a couple of reasons why they did it this way this time around. Number one, to promote their new game mode. They want to make sure that everybody has like a really good reason to engage with it, because for whatever reason, CG is trying to really push that player engagement metric. Like the more time we're spending in the game, the better, right?
Mhm.
So that's one aspect to it. The other aspect, I think, is that they didn't want to make the new GLs like super brokenly OP in their own kits. They wanted to add power to them by giving them another OP character that we also had to farm in gear.
So
And that way, yeah,
you basically had to pay twice.
right. Well, and also, I mean, so like CG wanted us to have a new meta per se. Like
Mm-hmm.
they want to give us a reason to chase the newest shiniest thing, right? If it was just another JMLC release, then why bother, right? So we needed some level of power creep, but they didn't want it to be all locked up into that one character. So they spread it out into two different characters basically. And that's why they did it. So that doesn't surprise me at all, and it doesn't surprise me that they are going to go away from it, because I think that the player base reacted fairly negatively about getting Lord Vader and then like having him be next to useless because we don't have them all yet. So makes sense that they're going to do something else next time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like they did it once, but I don't think they would do it again because I think they only enjoy pissing us off to a certain extent.
They're going to find a different way to do it.
It kind of felt like a Malik, right? Back when we unlocked Darth Revan, and then all of a sudden, Darth Revan was pretty underwhelming at the time, and then all of a sudden, Malik came out a few weeks later, and that was the key to unlocking that team for the meta. And those who were in the right position and had hoarded enough gear and yada yada, so on and so forth. They only did that twice in the entire history. They did that against with Malik, and then they obviously did it with Gas. And those are the only two times that they've sent out a tune like that.
No, I totally agree. I'm glad that they're not going to do that going forward, because it's already hard enough for the free to play player to get a GL and then be like, "Hey, my shiny new toy. Oh, it doesn't do anything. I gotta do this other work down the road."
And for low level players, maybe that was your first GL that you unlocked, and you're sitting only at 2 million GP. That tune is going to be completely unattainable. In fact, we haven't even seen how they're going to release these tunes full term. Ahsoka and Houndstooth, not Houndstooth, Razor Crest, they're not farmable yet. Yeah, you can buy them, and you can still use some of your GAC coinage to purchase them, but they're not really free to play farmable yet for somebody who's like a 2 million GP player.
Yeah, and I know CG's trying to get that low level. We'll talk about that later with the gear stuff, but the low level beginner player closer to that end game. If they did this GL with a counterpart, you're excluding that team or those players that you want to get into the game and bring them back up.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we've had a lot of conversation on the GL. So let's move on to the next subject, and I believe Brax is going to give us the overview on this one. And this is probably the biggest subject, which is pretty incredible. And this is the changes in TW. How about run those down for us, Brax, and then we'll start talking about it in detail.
Okay, so this mud is thick. I'm just gonna throw that out there because it's there's a lot of stuff in this. So with the territory war changes, I think there's some very good changes that I think a lot of us have been asking for. Still rather early to really know if and how it's going to work. But they have switched it up a little bit. There's some divisional changes So they added 8 more divisions at the top. I think there's been a lot of guilds that are in that 350 million plus, and so that was kind of getting crowded. So I think they spread that out a little bit to sort of change those divisions that they're at the top. So with that, the higher divisions are going to require more defensive teams. And if any of you out there have are in TW now, I think we're starting to see that where you're needing 30 plus teams on defense for each slice. So that's going to put an interesting wrinkle in that. I think you're going to potentially see maybe some teams that you haven't used in a while in TW come out. And obviously people are going to have to probably give more to set all their defenses. I think probably the biggest and sort of challenging part of the changes is that Relic 9 is attached to TW. So Relic 9 pieces are earned in TW as of right now. That's the only place you can get them. So obviously, that's what everybody's going to want is the new nice thing. But there's kind of a caveat to that as well. So basically, you're going to have to be a 300 million GP or higher guild to earn those pieces. The way it's set up right now, so divisions 19 through 23, I think those are the top divisions there. They'll get R9 mats. And for division 19, which is 3 million GP or 300 million GP, sorry. You're only going to get one mat for a win. If you lose, you don't get any mats. And so like the next one is at I believe 320 million GP. And with that, you're going to get 2, and the loser would get 1. So they are really trying to reward winning more, which I know Lab probably really appreciates that because he's been saying that for a long time. So the rewards have changed a little bit as well. So obviously, adding the R9 mats, is a reward that's added on. They're adding more gear. They're adding more relic materials. There's a gearbox. There's a relic chest. The arrow magnifiers that we need for R8 materials. Some of those are available as rewards as well. So I think they're trying to sort of push people to maybe put forth a little more effort in TW, and they're ramping up the rewards a little bit. Kind of full circle. What we're going to talk about here later on too is the gear crunch and them trying to alleviate that a little bit. So I think this is going to help with that as well. So trying to get those characters up into those Relic 5 and beyond that, Relic 8. Trying to get those characters to that, I think that the rewards are going to help to push that as well. And then the last thing is just the matchmaking. To quote them, it is a more fair and balanced matchmaking system. And I think that's something that we've all been asking for a while, is to have something where you're at least getting pitted against somebody you had a chance against, because there's sometimes it just doesn't make sense, and it's worked both ways, honestly, because there's sometimes I know Mustafar has been pitted against somebody that they didn't have any chance beating us. We had more GLs than they did. We had more GP than they did. So this new matchmaking is supposed to be a little more fair. They say it accounts for the smaller number of powerful players joining. So if you try to sandbag it, their algorithm is supposed to account for that. They also account for losing streaks. So if you win your TW, the next matchup is probably going to be a little more challenging. If you lose your TW, the next one may not be as challenging. I guess in theory, we still aren't 100% sure that's going to continue to be it. And I think it may take some time for their algorithm to completely like get in place and everything like that. So I think, these first, few weeks, it may not be perfect, but ideally, hopefully we see it get better as it goes along. So, and they said that you may see some cross-divisional matchups too, because there may be some of those. If you're towards the top of your division, you may get some of the lower division above you as well. So, I guess we're crossing our fingers and hoping that matchmaking continues to look better than it has, because that's been pretty brutal at times.
So, what has been everyone's experience so far after the first TW that we all went through just a couple days ago?
I enjoyed it. My guild currently places 40 teams per zone, and we full cleared our opponent pretty handily. They got through the front two zones and then didn't make it any further. Now that's probably just anecdotal, but I don't expect it to happen again. But I do expect us to continue to full clear. Having an advantage in executors is probably going to be the biggest advantage you can have in territory war at this moment, as GLs still have their counters. And bringing it back to the point we just talked about, Lloyd Vader and Maul will definitely make a difference when that shows up. But I think executor is going to be the biggest crutch for a full clear for most territory war guilds.
So I can say Mustafar's experience in our first one, we got one of the easier matchups that we have seen for a while. We did come in shorthanded and still got a pretty fair matchup, pretty favorable matchup, and won it fairly convincingly and easily. And this time, though, we're running in with almost the exact same, which tells us that we now are going to have to start making decisions. Do we want to push our players to join in order to get over that 300 million GP threshold? Because we're a 305, 306 million GP guild. So we, even a victory, are not getting those Relic 9 mats. But
Unless everybody joins. If everybody joins, we would.
yes, but we're only getting around 41, 42 because we had we were in a situation in the previous matchmaking where oftentimes we never had a chance. We were facing, guilds guilds like Lab is in. I mean, it was some obscene sort of matchmaking that we were getting. And it feels like they're trying to account for GLs a little bit more, because GLs really changed the game. We had a couple matchups where we were getting outmatched by 40 to 50 GLs, and then you take away the Vader counter and everything else, you stop having any chance in those sorts of situations. So we're kind of curious of where we're going to go from here, whether we're going to start making TW mandatory again in order to go after those R9 mats as a guild, because, players like me are definitely going to want to get those R9 mats. Or do we want to focus on victories more? It's an interesting dichotomy that we're heading down. I'd be interested to see where the other guilds in this conversation are looking at.
Kuzi,
Lab?
Yeah.
Ryloth isn't really close to 300 million yet, are they? Like, you guys aren't really too concerned about this territory war change, other than like number of teams, right?
We're a little concerned because we're very competitive,
Right.
and we do well with Cam and Watt and with CPIP, so we like to recruit high end players, good GPs now, And with the territory war change, we were already having some issues getting some new guild people in. We're a little afraid that we're not going to be able to get the players to help get us to that 300 million, because we definitely want to be there. I know, like we like
where are you guys
territory
right
war.
now?
We're at 240. If
Okay.
everyone joins, we're at 241. But we do have a. If you're able to, everyone needs to join, and if you join, you have to compete. You have to attack. You have to defend. Our guild coordinator is amazing at setting up the defense and asking and communicating, especially after this last one. We were all like, okay, we did well, we won. We didn't do a full clear, and they only got through one of our defensive lines. And so we're like, okay, maybe we went too hard on defense. We need to switch it up. And so we had some conversations on exactly like you said, bringing in some teams we haven't used in the past.
Mhm.
And we had a replacing 27 on defense and attacking. Last territory and this territory war, we do have the advantage of the GLs again. We have, I think, 15 to 20 more GLs than our opponent, and again, executor will help us as well. We have 4; they don't have any, and I think we're gonna run into that more. That I think that we're gonna be in that where we will probably bump up to that higher tier with our victories because we have more GLs than most guilds at our GP.
Yes. And so you've kind of hit on a conversation that Mustafar has had. We could, we're only 14 million away from GP away from being able to bump up to that 320 million if everyone joins. If even in a loss. So now we're asking ourselves, with the new algorithm, is it worth starting to push some bloat into your roster? And Ryloth is a great conversation about this because you guys are a very lean guild. You're pretty much meta. You're not like Mustafar that's been around since day one, and like myself sitting around with the 6.5 million GP roster, and a lot of I mean, just by nature of being around so long, I have bloat. I have teams that at one point were meta, but now are completely worthless, and I'm sitting on so much. I've hoarded so much materials. I could literally add two to 400,000 GP to my roster tomorrow if I wanted to, but I've been trying to get to where teams like you and Ryloth are at because of the old matchmaking system. How much do you think that's going to change?
That's a conversation that we've had a little bit about. We've talked about, do we bloat our rosters a little bit to try to bring us up a little bit? Right now, we're like, no, let's hold off, because that's a really big bloat for our guild, and we have a lot of competitive GAC guys that literally leaned their roster just so they could be as competitive as possible for the GAC.
Mhm.
And to ask them to do that, I don't know if we're there yet. With all that's going on, we don't want to add that to the plate and have extra potential burnout in the guild.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I think 60 million is quite a ways away, anyways. Like,
Yeah.
even if
We're
all 50 of you
at least
guys,
6 months away if we could. We haven't decided if that's our next goal right now. Cam is our goal, and being very competitive and trying to keep our very high win streak going for Ryloth is our goal right now.
Yeah.
Well, so I would argue that CG always CG, when they made the decision in their matchmaking in the original days, where they punished people for bloat, kind of punished the whole spirit of the game. This is a collector game, and if you love a player, you should be able to upgrade that player and have fun with the game. The fact that we have all become hoarders in order to stay competitive, I always felt was a bad thing. So I'm kind of happy that they're moving away from that sort of, but I don't know if they should full on move away from it, because now they're just changing the yardstick again for everyone, which is annoying in itself.
Well, I think the one thing that we have to think about is that is is TW going to continue to be the only place that you can get R9 mats?
No.
Because if that is true, then it's not going to be. I mean, then basically to get R9, you're going to have to. But if it's not, then do you want to potentially ruin all of your other game modes just to try to get R9 mats when you don't have to? So I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Where are we going to see R9 mats available in the future?
So I have a lot of thoughts about this territory war and R9 in general that I will try to keep very brief. But Mandalore has a bit of a different perspective, I would guess, than most other guilds in the Alliance, just because we're not asking the same questions that you guys are asking by nature, right? So
Yeah.
we don't. We're at 361 million GP. We went in 50-50 this particular TW that we're setting up for now. So we're in the almost top prize range, not quite there, but almost. So we're not asking the questions about bloat. We're asking the questions about how do we win?
Yeah.
And the matchmaking algorithm is the most interesting thing to me in this whole thing, outside of obviously the number of teams per zone that we're now setting. We're going to need to see what the matchups look like over the next couple of months before we can really start making educated guesses as to what CG actually changed. I don't think they are taking GLs into account. I think if somebody put a gun into my head and I had to get this right, I would say that the only thing that they actually changed outside of, the new brackets is they have like a win-loss balancing mechanism where if you start losing too many TWs in a row, they'll match you up with someone else who's also losing a lot to help try to get you that win. And I think that it also is probably going to work in reverse. The guilds that tend to win a lot or get a win streak will probably end up getting matched with other guilds who are also winning a lot. And so in that way, I think CG is trying to get everyone to not the exact same win rate. Obviously, certain guilds are going to still vastly outperform others, but CG has it in their best interest to not let guilds win all the time, and B, not let guilds lose all the time, because that's demoralizing. And so I think that's probably the biggest change that they did, outside of changing the brackets. I don't think that they went in and fine tuned and did like number of GLs or number of ships or whatever. I have a hunch that they didn't go too technical with that. I think they're just put in that little buffer, the new algorithm that would match you up, give you preferential matchups based on your win-loss history. Of course, that can also be gamed as well. If a guild is dedicated enough to doing that, they could create guilds full of alts and sign up for territory war and lose on purpose, and then bring their mains in, just cycle around the guild that you're in during TW, so that you're always in a guild that has a losing streak. That would be an interesting way that I'm sure some people could game the system. So CG will never tell us, is my point. CG is not going to tell us what their algorithm is. We can make guesses at it, but they will not tell us specifically for that reason.
So we have a question that came in through our question and answers from Thigh57 that I think really relates to what we're talking about now. As guild leaders and officers and just players within these guilds, are we feeling more pressure to win every TDW war now that Gear 9 is a thing and rewards are supposedly better? Or are we just playing this as a let's wait and see how this all plays out?
I think it depends on your guild,
Yes.
to be honest. I mean, because obviously if you're not, if you don't have 300 million GP or more joining, then, you know, not that winning doesn't matter, but if we're looking at it from an R9 perspective, winning doesn't matter, because it doesn't, I mean, even if you win, you're not going to get R9 mats.
Well, we're going to get to this in a second, where just regular rewards are getting better for victories. They are.
That's
It's
valid, yes.
it's not just a Relic 9 thing. It's a especially a gear, you know, that those gear pieces you need to get to 11 and 13 that they're going to increase. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but is this going to become a thing where we now are putting more stress on officers to ensure that we are being competitive in TW?
Well, I can speak directly to that, because I am one of the 2 territory war officers in Mandalore, and I can tell you there is a significant uptick in, like, Mandalore. We've always taken territory war seriously, but until this update, of course, you know, the rewards are not really, they weren't really differentiated between first and second place, hardly any.
And they haven't implemented the gear changes yet, which again we'll talk about.
That's right. That's right. They have not. So there wasn't really that big of an incentive outside of, like, we're Mandalore and we're gonna win because that's what we do. That's sort of like the intrinsic motivation type thing. Now it's, we're Mandalore and 25 of our players all want to apply like multiple R9s as quickly as we can, and because that, you know, that's the place that their accounts are in. And so we better freaking win our territory wars so that we can get those R9 mats, because it's the only place you can get them outside of that one, you know, there's that one pack that CG released. And of course, you know, they're going to release more packs. But you know, if these guys want to have the biggest and best, and the only way to apply more of them is to win. So yeah, you better believe that there's a lot of extra pressure on us to perform and win.
I have to admit, I have been anxiously waiting to hear Lab's take on this, because I know that he and Mustafar have kind of had differentiating opinions on TW in the past. So, I mean, if you think about it, though, it is kind of playing more to kind of Lab's mentality, in that it's pushing people to win and rewarding winning a lot more, because that's the thing that Mustafar has always said, that with our matchmaking, as a guild that had a lot of bloat, and you know, got matched against a lot of, you know, we call them baby whale guilds, where they were very very slim as far as their roster goes, and you know, we just knew that we didn't have a chance to win a lot of those matchups, and so we were okay with getting second place, because the second place rewards were so much close to what the winner got anyways, that it really didn't matter. So now, with upping those rewards, it does kind of place a little more importance to winning, and to putting forth effort and not just having people sign up and not really doing anything.
No, no,
I,
for
I,
sure.
I don't want to.
It's go ahead.
I was gonna say I don't want to dominate the whole conversation, but specifically to that point, I can tell you that right now, the only difference in gear in those territory war boxes is the droid brains. That's it. Like the other stuff is all inconsequential. When the update hits, that will change too.
Yeah,
I
and I
mean,
think that's what we're all waiting for, and I think a lot of decisions will come down to that. Cozy, do you have any additions to this conversations in terms of what Ryloth is facing?
Yeah, I was gonna say we're kind of in the same mentality as Lab and Mandalore. We go in the mentality we want to win. We as a guild pride ourselves on winning, having that winning streak. Before the update, we would go against guilds much bigger than us. They would try to sandbag so they get lower and try to get win, and we pride ourselves on beating them. I think adding a little more stress to us on this one, I think it's adding a little more stress, just trying to figure out, hey, we have so many more zones to fill in teams. How do we come up with them? And we're kind of just taking the first ones. Our mentality is we're not going to stress over it. We're going to do our best and try to figure it out, because the other guilds are in the same situation as we are. We're not getting the R9 mats, so we're just trying to figure it out so we can get those wins, because unfortunately that's what we like to do and we pride ourselves on. If it was R9 mats, we definitely probably would stress a lot more.
So I want to start wrapping this up and this particular part of the conversation up, and I want to bring Dude Rick into the conversation a little bit here. And there's another question from Darth Jar Jar in Excal. We've been dealing with C-Pit, which that's been the challenge of getting the R8 mats. And now we're looking at getting R9 mats from TW. You and your experience is kind of moving around a lot and just trying to maximize your rewards within the alliance. Do you think smaller guilds should be working towards CPIT or these sort of challenges earlier, or is this something that it's really shall we say a rich man's conversation and just keep doing what you're doing?
I think CPIT should probably be one of the mid-game hurdles that you finish. Shout out to Dagobah, one of our guilds in the Alliance. They recently completed CPIT at 192 mil GP with no mercs, which is pretty amazing. And not only is going to set them miles ahead of any other guild in their range, but also guilds in the 240 and 250 mil range who are maybe a little more casual and they can't pull together the teams to actually complete it. I know Alderaan, they've been trying to hit the CPIT for a while, and they just haven't been able to line up the teams greatly, but they are having more success following Dagobah's plan. But it's, HSTR can pretty much be on farm as soon as you get one slicker in a guild. Now, CPIT is actually a challenge for guilds. I think that we could have guilds around the 120, 150 mil range that will be completing CPIT within the foreseeable future, maybe mid-2022. I think CAM and CPIT are the biggest incentives right now for an early guild. Focus on your shot clones, and then gear your Padmes and your slickers for CPIT.
So you're basically saying R9 mats are not something that those guilds should be worried about at all, right?
Not at all. I've done in a private channel, I've literally went through and searched probably at least 100 different tunes to look at their increase. And while characters like JML and Lord Vader, JML gets the biggest increase out of GL, so that's pretty apparent. But Lord Vader does get a very good one because of the multipliers. Like an R9 Royal Guard under an R9 Lord Vader, it's going to have 540,000 health. That's kind of insane.
Crit him.
Yeah, and you can't crit him. So your only way to kill him is slowly cut him with paper cuts, like 20k hits, and hopefully you can land healing immunity every time and don't get dodged.
But then he heals every time his allies are hit. So
yeah, so you have to apply healing immunity to him, and by that turn, Lord Vader is gonna have his ult. So R9, it will take some characters to the next level, but characters like Slicker, Cat, JKL, Gas, those powerhouse characters that have always been kind of a statue in your GAC matchmaking and your territory war, it's not going to be a significant difference. If you're going to R9 anyone, and R10 will be here soon. It'll probably be here mid 2022. It's going to be tanks who get the biggest increase.
Well, and so let's continue that discussion and finish this conversation about TW. The R9 increase, I think we all agree, is going to affect tanks the most.
Yep.
Correct?
Yeah, that's right. I did buy the pack. I haven't applied it anywhere. If I'm going to apply it, it's going to be Old DACA because it's funny. I want to be the first person to beat Challenge Tier 3 of Secrets and Shadows legitly. If it's going to be possible at R10, or I'm going to apply it to JML because in my guild we're 340 mil and we haven't lost a territory war in months. So we're going to get the next stage of mats pretty easily. But soon, I'd say within 6 months' time, it's going to be like the arrow magnifiers, where I have 120 arrow magnifiers, but I only have 60 impulse detectors. And to get those guide your keypads, you have to sacrifice. Let me do the math real quick.
you
have to sacrifice
an absurd number.
Close to 250, 300 pieces of Gear 12 plus gear. And that's probably 10 to 15, depending on where you place HSTRs.
Yeah, and
so 10 to 15 HSTRs for one R9.
You're talking $300 to $400 if you chose to buy it.
Right. And I did buy it. It's $150 for the first pack. I don't see that ever going down. And I think the price is only going to get higher with R10. You're probably going to have to buy 4 $50 packs at the same time.
For the record, anybody that knows Dude Rick, him putting R9 on an Old DACA is not a surprise. So
yeah, no, not a surprise at all. All right,
so I think we can also agree that. Oh, sorry, Lab.
No, go ahead. You got it.
I was gonna say, we can all probably agree that probably the next GL is gonna require at least one R9.
God.
That's how it's gonna go, and so they're already tailing it toward the high end people that will probably get it. So all know it's gonna come.
I'm gonna argue no, it won't, and I'll make this quick. I'm gonna argue it won't require an R9 as the farming method currently stands. They're going to have to diversify how you get R9 mats before they start requiring it, because if you're not in a 300 and plus million GP guild, you just won't be able to get the next GL, which means they're cutting down the player base that can spend money to get a player. And
you won't be able to get it free to play.
Yes. No. You won't even be able to get it pay to play. Because right now, R9 mats are, you can buy them, but they religiously cannot. Okay, yeah, they'll probably release a pack. You guys are right.
Come on. Yeah, come on. It's a game to make money.
Yes. Well, so then let's get into the next discussion. Because we've talked about gear, and I to this point, and I am going to run down some of the gear changes that CG is planning on doing. And now this is a quote unquote multi-gear change through phases. And by phases, what that means is they want to see how this affects the market. And by market, it means how it affects their profits. And let's not beat around the bush here, but I do like the initial changes. They're mostly designed to affect lower or new players, not really those of us that have been around for a while. We'll get some benefits out of it, but my guess is, because they don't put any numbers behind any of this, but they're going to increase some rewards. And in daily challenges, we're going to see, MK5 stun guns, MK biotech implants, MK3 stun cups, MK5 android collars. They said added to daily challenges. The reality is, stun guns were already. No, I'm sorry, they weren't. None of this stuff was. No, the stun guns were already there, so you have to assume there's going to be a slight increase. The other ones they're adding, this is a good thing, even to us who have been around for a while, but my guess is the numbers are going to be pretty small. What do you guys think? Maybe one or two?
I know for some of it, they said they were doubling, doubling the drop rates.
We're going to
So
get to that. We're going to
not
get to
getting
that.
double drops, but
That was just in daily challenges. They're just adding some stuff, and then they put MK5 stun guns in there, which we already get. So, and then they're gonna add more of that core gear, those same pieces that we talked about that are limiting agents to getting to gear 12, and then are even needed to build your gear 13 pieces. They're going to add to the shard shop as a dedicated node, which is kind of nice, knowing you can log in every day and know you're going to get one of those pieces and you can refresh it. But of course, refreshing, guess what? That costs crystals. So there's still a money making aspect there. They are expanding the TW prizes as we've talked before, where they're adding those same pieces that we talked about to all divisions for victory and defeat. But the really big materials that most of us in the mid to high level GP ranges, they're only going to benefit those in victory. They're not going to benefit those in a defeat. They're going to increase the quantity. Of course, there's no definition of what that increase is in our daily quests. The biggest one that they've talked about, which has made sense for a really long time now, especially as they changed how farming, the effectively doubled the drop rates in farming. Well, it doesn't matter how fast you can farm a tune if you can't gear them at the same rate. And so in those hard nodes, they have doubled the drop rates for any gear that is coming or going to. They haven't done it yet. They're going to double the drop rates for any of the gear that comes when you're doing a hard node farm. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in detail as to the importance of that. Uh, Effectively, their goal here is to allow newer to mid-level players to theoretically gear their players up faster in relation to the speed in which they're able to farm them. And this is just phase one of their changes. They're talking about having multiple phases come after this, where they want to really address uh, the gear walls that we have all been facing for years that should have been changed as soon as they increased relics. The reality is, and now I'm going to put my personal opinions into this. The reality is, relics are the new moneymaker for them. And the faster they can get players to relics, the faster they can make the money. I mean, at this point, you've got this wall between Relic 1 and Relic 9, which is pretty huge. A Relic 1 player versus a Relic 7, they're not even comparable. And the amount of investment it takes to go from Relic 1 to Relic 7 is pretty heavy. Not to mention just getting through Relic 13. So why getting to Relic 12 is a challenge anymore for newer players seems pretty ridiculous to me. and that's something that they need to address. I mean, I believe you should. It shouldn't be, just I unlock the tune and I can go to Relic 12 farming within just 2 days, but it should be something that's faster than having to put 2 weeks into farming a single tune just to get them to Relic 12. And I'm hoping that that's what they're trying to address with these changes and the future changes to come. So now I will release it to all of you to give your opinions.
I'm optimistic and I'm hopeful that it's going to make it better for everyone, not only the low end, but also some of the higher ends to get those relic materials faster. I'm running on my alternate account. I'm running about 3 million on that account. I'm running into issues with getting the gear from 12 to 13 and then and the relics. I just don't have the gear to get all these people up for the GL. So I'm hoping this will change it and make it a little bit better for us. So I'm not sitting there for 2-3 weeks just try to get them ready.
Well, and so that, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think my hope is that this really addresses that stagnant period at like gear 9, 10, 11 for whatever reason. It's just tough to get through, and then not only getting through that, and then you're into gear 12, and then obviously you got to get to gear 13 to even think about relics. But I think hopefully their idea was addressing that sort of stagnant period there at gear 9, 10, 11, where you just need an absurd amount of the same pieces, like just to get them like to that next gear level.
Yeah, I'm hoping so too, because it's brutal. And it's been brutal for years.
Yeah.
I think if it would just alleviate it if we could get the gear crunch pieces in small doses reliably. I farm, so every day I do 3 refreshes on regular energy. Today I farmed Mark III stun cuffs, and I got 12 out of 560 energy, which, not bad for CG rates, but say you do that for 5 days, then you're able to craft 1 piece after 5 days of farming. If we could just get Mark V stun guns twice a week through daily challenges, and maybe Mark III stun cuffs or something like that, 1 to 3 pieces each sim would be plenty. That'd be awesome, just to supplement it to make it 2 gear pieces a week would be just something that you don't see very often. Go ahead.
And you're talking about devoting all of your regular energy to just farming that gear piece. You're not even talking about farming tunes, which, especially new and mid-level players are really struggling to farm. So I do like the doubling of the hard nodes that I think does change things a little bit. And we'll get to that question here in a minute, but it needs to be that wall needs to kind of come down a little bit for all players, including even whales, because it's annoying even as somebody who has most every tune at 7-star to sit there and dump that much energy into getting gear pieces, and I'd much rather be putting that into gear 12 and gear 13, and relic mats.
Yeah, I would consider myself a whale. Might be a dolphin. I did the math the other day, and I've spent almost 20 grand on this game. So I've spent a lot, and for me to either spend $20 to get 2 gear pieces or farm for 2 weeks, it's it's a weird trade-off where it's instant gratification, and I can get JML in 2 weeks from nothing for $2,300, or I can farm for 6 to 8 to 10 months to get them. It's quite wild how expensive this game is, whether it be time or it be monetary. It's pretty insane.
No, right. I agree. Well, and I think you made a great point about either you have to go after the gear, or a new character. You can't do both because you just don't have enough refreshes or energy to do it. And that's kind of makes it really hard, and they need to fix that.
When I think
All
to
right.
Rick's point there is, it would be nice to have some sort of consistency because, like he said, today he got 12 pieces, but tomorrow he might do the same thing and get 5 pieces.
All right, so let's start rapid firing through some of these questions because we're sitting. We've been talking for quite a while now. Let's get through the rest of the questions regarding the subject matter that we came to talk about tonight. One of the questions that really relates to what we were just talking about is now that the gear node, the gear on hard nodes, or it's technically hasn't hit yet, but they promised it will be coming soon. Now that the gear is doubled on hard nodes, would you suggest to focus hard nodes at this point, or would you still stick with your old farming methods?
I'm sorry, I was going to chime in. Double of what was it? 5% before, so now it's 10% chance of getting it. You don't know yet what the probability of getting them are. So I would wait and just stick with what you have going, what works for you. Don't change your path. Stick to what your goal is right now.
Yeah, I think the thing that people need to remember is that they're not. This isn't double drops; it's double drop rates.
Yes.
So you're not getting double the amount. You're just, the chances of getting those pieces are doubled.
Well, so as a research professional, I will tell you that they were right now through the numbers. You had an equal chance of getting a piece of gear through a hard node as you did through a normal node. The difference is the cost of that node. So if they're doubling it now, you still have a 33% chance of getting a drop for that piece of gear, but now you're going to get 2 pieces of gear rather than 1 piece of that gear, which makes a 20 hard node basically the same as a 10 hard node. 20 cost hard node versus a 10. I would say it really comes down to what your roster is desiring. If you're looking at needing to level a tune, or to farm a tune, then it does provide a little bit more focus on farming the tune than maybe the node, but that depends on what gear you're looking for. Because if the gear drop in that node is not something you need, then does it matter? That's kind of where I'm at on it. It really comes down to your individual roster and what you're trying to accomplish. It does provide a little bit more rewards for going to farming tunes, but that still doesn't matter if you can't actually gear those tunes up. If you're not getting the reward, the gear reward that you're looking for, that you need to gear that tune up. I didn't hear anything from Lab there. That surprises me. Okay, so let's move on to some of the other questions I had highlighted that we need to get through as part of our major conversation. By the way, that previous question came from Monkey is Best and Thigh 57, so I appreciate both of those. I'm sorry, Thigh 57 and Sir Raptor. So I appreciate both of those questions. The next one up, and the last one in our core conversation. Do you see, and this comes from Durant, do you see any changes coming to SWGOH in the future surrounding extra stars, 8-star characters, or additional account levels to the game, meaning increasing the level to 99 or 100? And do you think it would be good?
No.
I think we're maxed out on levels. We're maxed out on stars.
I
I think the only thing that we're going to see an increase in the near future is a Relic 10.
Yeah.
Are we going to go past that? That's up in the air. But they will find a new way to monetize increasing your character. They will give us 7-dot mods. It's not been confirmed, but it's going to happen. We have an extra slot there. And I hope we don't go the MSF route where we start getting red stars or other ways to power up your characters where you can get extra shards. That'd be pretty dumb. And it would just infuriate people to where you have a 7-star character. Well, now you need a 14-star character to get competitive, where each extra star is now a red golden star instead. But that's way off in the distance. The only increase we will see in the near future is R10 and 7-dot mods.
I tend to agree. And the major reason why I absolutely agree with you is both of those things, 8-star characters and level 99 or 100 come down to credits. Uh, those increases is a credits focused increase. And CG has a hard time monetizing credits, number one. But number two, so many of the whales, and this is what it always comes down to. What do the whales have sitting around? And whales tend to have credits sitting around. So anything that costs credits, you're never going to see CG increase because there's no way to monetize that. I'm sitting on 365 million credits. So if they did a level 100 increase, yeah, I'd burn through them really quickly, but I'd be able to increase the power of my team so quickly without them making any money. Yeah, that's never happening.
Agreed. It's all about making money. They'll make more money with the relics and the mods than they would with 8-star or bringing the levels up to 99.
All right. So let's have a little bit of fun and start moving into some of the less solid questions. We'll do this for 15, 20 minutes or so. Take a little seriousness out of the episode. And like I said, just have a little fun. Let's start with a question that is related to the game, but definitely a hot sports opinion, and it's a 3-part question. And I'm going to ask this of all of you. What do you think is the most useless feature in the game? What funny feature would you like to be implemented in the game? And what is the best feature they added into the game so far for you? And this comes from Duran. And let's start with Dude Rick. So useless feature.
Yeah, useless feature is probably the sell feature for mods. I don't ever use it. The only time I sell a mod is when I upgrade it to 12, and if it doesn't have the roles I want, I sell it then. I don't ever mass sell mods.
Okay, so funny feature
Funny feature.
to
They
be
should get
implemented.
They could give us they've talked about this in the past and they're not doing it, but player skins. So like a Halloween thing. So let's say it's Halloween and Gary has a pumpkin head instead of his regular stormtrooper head. Something like that would be cool. And then the best feature they've added into the game.
Yes.
I really like the guild management tools. I think they're very, very good. I think it's helped out a lot of people, especially guilds who don't use Discord or Line or any other third-party app. And it also helps the guilds that have, being able to see territory war history, and that's a big, big thing for a lot of things. So,
Fair. Anyone else willing to step up? Kuzi, maybe?
Useless feature.
Useless feature.
Yeah. I would definitely say the sell mod button. I actually never sold mods until I got hot utilities, and then I started selling my mods because I hated doing it. Now funny feature. I never really thought about that.
It's hard in this game to think of a funny feature.
It really is. Other than trying to send something to like in the instant messaging within the games, trying to be able to send like a GIF or something like against your GAC opponent or something like that would be kind of fun.
Okay, so you want a feature that allows you to troll within the game.
Basically,
Yeah.
I would think it'd be funny because I troll the hell out of my brothers, troll the hell out of them in game.
All right. So best feature.
Best feature to me was when they introduced the territory battles. I love territory battles. I enjoyed the hell out of Hoth. And then when the Geo came out, I enjoy doing that and trying to figure out how can we get the more stars. That to me has been very enjoyable.
Brax Lab.
So useless feature is probably the chat function in the game because it's trashed. As far as communicating and everything, it makes it very difficult, and it's the reason why people have Line and Discord and other ways to communicate because CG has kind of put the handcuffs on that. A funny feature, I think it would be kind of funny that if within territory wars that there was some sort of way that you could directly talk trash to your opponent, like within the game.
So you want to troll also?
Yeah.
All
That'd
right.
be awesome.
Yeah, anytime they can open up the troll avenues, it's probably a good thing. So
Yeah. So the major theme I'm hearing so far is everyone wants to troll. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Well, I mean, it's competition. Like to me, it's okay to talk smack when you're on the field like that.
fair enough. All right. And what's the best feature that they've added to the game so far?
Oh, that's a hard question for me to answer. Yeah, I mean, I a little bit agree with Rick as far as guild management, just having having some of the information more readily available. And if for whatever reason you don't have hot utils available at that moment, you can at least get some sort of information. I think that has been a good upgrade. I still think there's a lot of things that we still need, like a EB review. That would be fantastic. But I think they're kind of moving in the right direction. We'll put it that way.
Lab, do you have any answers to this question?
I have many answers to these questions. What's the first one? Most useless feature?
Useless feature, just one.
Oh yeah,
Don't.
I got you here. All right, you ready for this?
Sure.
The most useless feature is anything related to fleet management in this game because it's bull crap that we can't have preset fleets. Like, we have been asking for this for so long now, and CG's like, oh, it's hard, it's complicated. You know what? It's $1 billion.
Infrastructure is built.
Figure it out. Seriously, drop whatever crap you're doing and get fleet management straight. Because I'm tired of it.
They can't afford to do something like that. They don't have the money.
Stupid.
They don't make any money.
They can't afford to do it, even though the infrastructure is already built because they have squad management. But I mean, they just can't copy and paste that over and do another. But we don't need to go there.
It doesn't make the money, Lab. Duh.
Yeah.
So now, funny feature you would like to be implemented in the game
that I want to be implemented.
Yes.
It's
going to be trolling.
Yeah, something to do with chat. I mean, the fact that I can't even post any links, anything. I can't put any GIFs in there. I mean, come on, CG. It's 2021. Let's go.
He can't even put an eggplant emoji up.
Exactly. Like, is this game even worth playing anymore? I don't even know.
It's true. With the trolling, like when Ryloth went against Scarif, we had to troll each other in Discord. We couldn't do in the game. as it
Yeah.
was two opponents going against each other within the guild.
All right.
I mean,
so now best feature. I'm
Yeah.
going to try to run through some questions here. We have some fun questions that I want to run through. So best feature.
this is even easier than the stupid feature that they need to implement. The best feature in the game is hands down Grand Arena Championships. And I know that not everybody loves Grand Arena, but I can tell you for a fact that Grand Arena is the reason why this game still exists. If they had not come up with Grand Arena, this game would be dead. Not enough players would be playing it because it doesn't really keep your interest to just do the same territory battle, the same territory wars, like cycling off every week in, week out. But what does keep a lot of people's interest, specifically the competitive ones, is matching your wits and your roster and your strategy against another human being. That is the core of PvP in this game, and that is why this game still exists. I know that it's a collection game. People like to collect shiny new objects, but collection games by themselves die off fairly quickly if there's not more meat to them. So Grand Arena Championships is the best feature, and there is no other correct answer.
So I'm going to throw you out a question that I'm going to say there's no other correct answer than the one I'm going to state. And this one comes from DQ. What extended universe character would you want to see made canon again?
Mara Jade Skywalker. Boom. Done.
Oh, that one's good. I have to.
Damn it, Lab.
I give you credit on that one. I'm gonna say that one's not wrong. I said no other answer but mine was right, but I'm gonna give you that one. I will allow that one to slide past. Okay. Everyone else, tell me your wrong answers. Don't hurry at it. I'll throw out names. Kuzi, what non-canon character would you like to see added to the game? We may have lost him. So
No, Mara Jade would have been my answer, so I needed a second to think about it.
Okay. Then I will move. Let's move to Dude Rick. Give Cozy a few minutes to think about this.
Marin.
Oh, you're lost too?
Marin.
Marin. From
All right. We're moving to Brax Nightfinder because everyone else is wrong and doesn't have any, original ideas. So Brax,
Marin's hot.
what's yours?
Screw you.
I have one now.
Okay.
The Solo Twins.
Okay.
Yeah. I would not hate you. I don't hate you for that. They're still wrong, but I don't
Jason
hate you
and
for
Drama.
that.
Yeah.
So I'll throw out the right answer, and that's Corin Horn.
I thought you were going to say Darth Vader.
Cornhorn. I didn't think about Kyle Katarn. I liked him. I forgot about him. I would change my answer to him now.
They really just need to bring in that entire Rogue Squadron book.
That would be
that
amazing.
series. That whole entire series, every one of those characters was absolutely fantastic. But Corin Horn was such a major character. Unfortunately, Lucasfilms has backed themselves in a corner, and apparently that squadron never existed. And Mara Jade and Corin Horn and all of these great Jedi never existed. And that really sucks because they were all so fantastic.
Yeah, that's part of me that is very sad that when Lucasfilms did that, because I grew up with those books, playing those games, and those characters was the expanded what I thought and was hoping Disney would go, and they didn't.
You know what would have been awesome for this Conquest release type GL cadence thing that CD is doing right now, with like releasing OP characters in pairs? If they would have done Darth Bane and Darth Xana that way, Um,
Oh, yeah.
obviously,
Oh.
Yeah.
obviously it's extended universe, so they won't. But I'm just saying this would have been perfect for those two.
But they could come into the game because Disney didn't screw up the pre. They just screwed up the sequel.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, the mid timeline. I mean, they could still bring in the Yuuzhan Vong and do that whole storyline, but
I'm not holding my breath.
I'm not
yeah,
holding my breath to that because then you would have there's a lot of they would have to make up because of how it played out and how the
exactly.
movies. So I could see them bringing. They could bring in Darth Bane.
Oh, I think he's coming for sure. Uh,
That would be amazing to see. Some
in
of those
fact,
old Sith.
no, they already made Darth Bane canon. He's been in a recent book, and so they have made him canon as being the predecessor of the Rule of Two. So they have made Bane canon. So we'll see where
Yeah,
they go with that.
they did do the Rule of Two books before
But
Lucasfilm sold it, though.
no, for sure. But they have acknowledged it through other books, the Palpatine books.
Mm-hmm.
So
What if
they acknowledge the existence of Bane, whether it goes down as the storyline that you read in the books. That's a whole nother story, but they acknowledge the existence of him and being the beginning of the Rule of Two.
can we just take a second to acknowledge the brilliance of the idea of the rule of two?
Yeah.
Just like from what who is it? Carpathian, I think, who wrote it. I mean, from what he was working with at the time, um, to be able to come up with that in an original storyline like that, just sheer brilliance.
It was great. I enjoyed the books a ton.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I agree with that.
so we're gonna push now and back into a reasonably Star Wars gaming question. Which one that I thought was relatively important. I think a lot of people could use, especially Labs' brilliancy here. What is your go-to piece of gear for each of the scavenger pieces?
Oh yeah, that's
So
pretty easy.
no. So in my case, there's only one piece of gear that is go-to. And every other time I'm scrapping gear for scavenger, it's just whatever I have the most of. It really doesn't matter that much. But hollow projectors, hollow projectors, hollow projectors, hollow projectors. That is the one piece of gear. It costs so little to purchase by crystals or through any of the shops that you get. Uh, if you can turn a fully crafted hollow projector into a relic piece, that's the way you want to go.
I'm so lazy now with relic materials that I just buy all the relic mats that I need.
Well, that was a lazy comment.
It's so lazy. Like I'd be like, I need to take this person to R7 for this reason. Okay, let me just buy $50 in crystals and buy the mats. It got to a point where I couldn't make chrome the first mat. I don't remember what it is. The carbonite circuit boards or whatever. I couldn't make them anymore without sacrificing vital gear. So it was at that point I just started buying gear and I haven't looked back.
Well, so I'm going to try to clear this up. The hollow projectors cost 300 crystals for a fully crafted hollow projector. And you only need 2 fully crafted hollow projectors to get a what's a chromium transistor. Anything else you craft is going to cost you. It takes 50 pieces of that item. It only takes 20 pieces to craft a fully crafted hollow projector, tier 3 hollow projector.
It's a rhodium heatsink is the material
Yeah.
you're looking at.
Yeah, no, a rhodium heatsink. That's it. So that should always be what you're focusing at if you're trying to maximize your gear pieces. Is going after the holo projector, the tier 3 holo projectors. Craft it fully. Never do the individual pieces because 50 pieces get you, well, 2/3 of the reward. So that I just felt like that was an important. Outside of that, I don't know of anything else that is
What's
really.
the Ugnaught one?
It's
The
the
Mark
Mark
7
7
Blast
weapon
Tevic.
mod.
Yep. Mark 7 Black Test mod. That is for chromium transistors.
Yes.
No,
Correct.
yeah, chromium transistors. You craft that,
Yes.
really easy to craft. If you've been in the game for more than a year and a half, you should have plenty of pieces. And it's let me do the math real quick. I'm actually looking at the scavenger now. To get one chromium transistor, it usually takes like 6 pieces of gear, 6 to 7. One Blast Tech mod gets you like 7 chromium transistors. So make sure to take Ugnaught to gear 5. Stop gearing him after that. Don't touch him after that, and go there and craft about 300 Mark 7 Blast Tech mods, and then use those if you want to be efficient.
So I'll go one better on you. Ugnaught used to be the way that I would do these, and I ran out of that other like green gear. Like I think there's like Mark 1 stun cuffs or something that you have to use.
Yeah.
And, but there's actually a much more efficient and actually a quicker way to get these chromium transistor pieces so that they will never be a problem for you again. Those Mark 7 weapon mods are available for purchase in the guild token store. You get 5 of them for 150 guild tokens. So you just buy it whenever it comes up because 150 guild tokens is not that expensive at all. And you will never have to craft anything again. You'll never run out of chromium transistors ever again.
That is the advice I think they were looking for. All right, so do you guys want a gaming level question, or do you just want a truly silly question? I think I'm
Yes.
going to go. Let's go silly. If you hosted a show for the Star Wars Travel Channel, what planet would be the first you'd cover? And more importantly, which one would you be saving for the final series? Or the series finale. Sorry.
You're probably going to have to call on people for this one.
I
All
would.
right.
I think I would go indoor for my first one. Just get that out of the way.
Why? You have to state your reason why.
Yeah.
Uh,
The murder bears. They're cute. They're fuzzy. Attracts attention. And then also on the other end, you can show clips from the war where murder bears were being burned in piles, and that will appease both sides, right? Then for the last episode, you want to save Tatooine for last. Tatooine is the hub for all things of scum and villainy, which everyone loves. There's great bars, great prices. There's Twi'lek women not for sale, but to loiter their services. And that's what people are really there for. They want to know how they can get the cheapest Twi'lek and the most potent Star Wars alcohol as possible. And that's what that's what my show would do.
all right. So now I'm going to put Brax on the spot because he's been quiet lately.
Well, I have to agree with Kat in that that's where you would want to start. And then you're going to end, of course, at Mustafar. Because that is the journey of Anakin right there, starting at Tatooine and ending at Mustafar.
Mustafar is a hot spot of tourist attraction, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yeah, very hot.
Yes.
Watch your step all through it. Okay, Cozy, how about yourself?
I also would probably start at Endor because of the murder bears And who doesn't want an R7 team of murder bears?
Me.
Yeah, I know you don't, but someday I will get that. And then I'd probably end on Yavin 4, because that's where the Luke Skywalker flew off and took out the Death Star, and Star Wars is, to me, about Luke Skywalker, and that's where he really took light of taking that journey to be a legend.
I'm surprised that nobody has said either of my planets yet.
Well, then it's your turn to go, Lab.
Perfect. Okay, so I would certainly start my travel program with Naboo, because you could take them to see, the historic sites, Thebes Palace, for example, go swimming and look at some Gungans in a lake. And then, you could complain about how your home planet has a bunch of sand that's coarse and rough and irritating, but this planet doesn't, because it's, smooth and soft and, whatever other adjectives you want to use. And then I would end my series, obviously, I can't believe nobody's said this yet, on Coruscant. Because if something's not happening on Coruscant, is it even happening at all? Like, does it even matter? The answer is no. Coruscant is where it's at. You can find anything and anything that you want on Coruscant, and of course, there's no better fit to a Travelers season finale than the main city planet in Star Wars. So there you go. There's the right answer.
So I would start it on Coruscant, because I'm wanting to get my series attention, right? And everyone wants to know about Coruscant, the fun life and the incredible food, and we'd highlight that. We'd make this a Rick D's sort of experience. We'd see everything great that there is to see in Coruscant to start it with. But to finish it with, we probably hit one of the great, either Jedi or Sith planets. So we're talking either Jeddah or Korriban, and we'd really look at the history involved in those planets and allow people to understand why their universe is getting torn up by these people with ridiculous powers that are magic. I mean, seriously. We end our season dealing within the power of the Force and trying to understand that. So I don't think any wrong answers there, except you all were wrong.
Has a question ever been more thoroughly answered than this one?
I know, right?
Say not.
Yeah,
Okay,
there was a lot of detail in that.
so we've had some fun, and I think we've done a good job of climbing through questions as best as we can. I'm going to finish with one that is completely ridiculous, but I'm going to hit up on your cooking skills. How do you season your koakon monkey lizard before throwing it in the smoker on the grill? And that comes from DQ. And let's start with Brax. I think he's the most experienced here at cooking food that he has caught in the wild.
That's valid. I would go basic, just a little bit of salt and pepper, and then let the smoke and everything do its magic. Smoke it over some hot flame for a while, and let the heat and the smoke do its magic, and I think it would be fantastic.
Lab, how do you want your monkey lizard cooked?
Well, I would use the opportunity to troll Mangry and his culinary tastes. So what I would like to do is season it Italian style. And after it was done cooking, I would use it as the one of the main star ingredients in my Chicago deep dish pizza, which is vastly superior to any New York style pizza that a certain co-host of mine might favor.
Would you garnish it with pineapple?
I would indeed. Yes.
Oh, that's
I'd put like 3 pineapples worth of that stuff on there.
okay, Kuzi. How are you flavoring your monkey lizard?
I'm not. I'm doing it over the campfire. Nice, just rotating it slowly, just so I can get all that gamey, good, natural juices and flavor in there. All natural.
Right, but what about cooking?
Over a campfire, so it's gonna get that little smokiness over there. I'm not gonna add any seasonings. I'm just gonna let it just take all the natural flavors of
Its own juices.
its own juices. I'm
Cool.
not going to mess with any crappy Chicago deep dish. I'm going to go more the New York style pizza if I had to choose between the two, because there's no better choice than New York style pizza.
Well, okay. So, Kuzi, it's been nice having you as a guest, and definitely, your check's in the mail, and we'll totally don't contact us for the next episode. We'll contact you.
But I do like pineapples on them.
All right, dude,
okay.
Rick.
I won't boot
He's
you
back
from the
in.
alliance then.
All right, dude, Rick. How are you cooking your monkey lizard?
If you're not using Cavender's seasoning, you're doing it wrong. I've ranted and raved about this with Mangry Gamer. He knows Cavender's is the best seasoning. He's just been woefully regretting not trying it yet. It's the best season. It's a Greek seasoning that's good on steak. It's good on pork. It's good on chicken. It's good on mac and cheese. It's good on ramen. And it would be good on this alien lizard. What do I do first? Put it with a slow base, season it, put it in the oven, broil, throw it in the pan for 2 minutes on each side, get a good sear on there, then you eat it. That's how you. Or actually, what I would do, I'd sous vide it. I'd use my sous vide machine, cook it at 160 degrees, perfect temperature for steak for 2 hours. Then I'd pan sear it.
That sounds pretty good, but so I'm sitting here looking at this and thinking it's a monkey lizard. I'm pretty much putting this on my back burner. I'm gonna just turn this into jerky. I'm gonna marinate it in a nice, smoke with some decent seasoning. I mean, I'd have to test it out, but I definitely just dehydrate this and use it as beef jerky. It just does not seem like the kind of meat that works out as good steaks. So I'm going to look at it more as just, sort of snack material as I'm playing Star Wars Galaxy of Hero and turn it into beef jerky. That's how I would do it.
So you want to jerk the monkey lizard, is what you're saying?
Yes, because it's a
Okay.
lizard.
All right. Okay.
That's what I heard too.
Okay. That's all I heard. I don't know.
All
I'll be
right,
honest,
well,
I don't really want to eat either a monkey or a lizard. So,
I'd try both.
hey, this is desperate times call for desperate measures. It could be a delicacy in some cultures, so don't get out there and insult anyone.
Chicago deep dish.
All right, gentlemen, it has been a fantastic conversation. I think this was a great episode. I thank you all for joining. Any last comments by anyone? Anything you'd like to throw out to the Alliance or the general public?
R7 your Dakas so they can beat Grievous easily. R7 your Dakas for Secrets and Shadows Tier 2. R7 your Dakas for just general pride in your roster, because without one you will be sad, depressed, and probably lacking testosterone if Obsolete was listening. And that's about it. Bring Maren to the game.
Next up, Cozy.
I would say, it's always it was a good time. Thanks for having me. Definitely Ewoks, Murder Bears R7 to R8, just so Lab Monkey and Geo both have heart attacks.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's always fun to joke around like that, but no, nothing really other than that.
Sounds good. Brax, any final comments?
Just everybody just keep doing what they're doing. I think the overall the alliance is really strong right now. I think from a recruiting standpoint, we've got a lot of good recruits coming in, and everybody just seems to be growing and doing the right thing. So everybody just keep at it, keep to the grind.
And Lab.
Two quick things. First thing is don't freak out about R9, especially if you're not in a guild that can get it yet. It's so expensive and it's marginal right now. Don't worry about it. By the time we need to get an R9 character for the next GL, there'll be a different way to get the mats. So don't worry about it. And then the other thing is I just want to thank Rem for stepping in and hosting tonight. It was fun. You did a good job. And Mangry sucks. Not really.
Well, thank you all, and I guess my final comments are gonna tag along a little bit with Labs. There, I do agree. R9 is not the thing to worry about. Do pay a little bit more attention to TW. I know a lot of Brax and I have had a big thing that TB is the most important game mode for guilds if you're wanting to support your guild, and I think we still feel that way, but it's probably
It's diminished a little.
I think we lost Rim. I think he was saying that TB has diminished a very marginal amount, perhaps 5 to 10%, but it is probably the most important game mode still. If you want your guild to have success, focus on the PvE content, not the PvP content. GAC is still important, just for your personal enjoyment of the game, but you really are going to find success in your guild by completing raids, having those on farm, and completing territory battles to the best of your ability.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate you joining us. Hopefully, I stepped in decently for Mangry. I know we all missed him tonight. He is a great voice and a much better wrangler of you trollers, apparently, because all of you want to troll. But thank you all for joining. Hope you listen and like. Thank you very much.
Night.
Night.
Thanks.